Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Martial Universe Season 8 Part 10 based on novel. So let's start. When Lin Dong entered the distorted space, he could clearly sense a kind of extremely wild and violent heat suddenly erupt from within his body. The heat appeared to be attempting to ignite his body. Humph. The unexpected change in his body did not cause Lin Dong to feel any panic. Although the heat was wild and violent, it was clearly not considered troublesome to someone like him who was already prepared. A thought immediately passed through his mind as majestic yuan power surged and directly suppressed the heat. While Lin Dong was suppressing that heat ripple within his body, he suddenly discovered some signs of chaos in the surrounding space. After which, he was surprised to discover that Ying Xiaoxiao and the rest, who had originally entered the Burning Sky ancient stash with him, had actually disappeared at this moment. Caution swiftly surfaced within his eyes while vast and mighty yuan power circulated quietly. He quickly began to scan his surroundings. The scene that appeared before him was not the expected cluster of ancient halls. Instead, it was a bright red land. A wave of heat rose from the ground, causing the air to feel a little distorted. Is this the Burning Sky ancient stash? Lin Dong knitted his brows slightly as he watched this bright red magma-like land before him. Soon after, his body slowly descended. When his feet touched the ground, wild and scorching energy immediately invaded his body. It made one feel somewhat irritable. The irritation in his heart was immediately discovered by Lin Dong. He quickly circulated his devouring power and completely devoured the scorching energy within his body. Something is wrong, Lin Dong muttered to himself. He looked at the vast bright red land. There was no one else but him here. The number of people who entered previously was rather substantial. From the looks of it, this Burning Sky ancient stash was not simple. Those who hoped to find treasures immediately after entering would be disappointed. Since I have already arrived, I shall see just what kind of tricks this ancient stash can play. Lin Dong's eyes gazed into the distance. Soon after, he started to walk forward with a smile, directly heading towards the distant bright red land. As Lin Dong walked, he observed countless gullies of various sizes on the bright red land. It appeared as though countless great battles had occurred here in the past. One could even see some broken weapons within the bright red sand. It was a place that seemed to give off an aura of desolation. Seems like a big war had occurred in this place. Lin Dong slowly walked for over a dozen minutes before he began to frown slightly. The scars on the ground made him understand that an extremely intense battle had definitely occurred in this land. Is this a test of the Burning Sky ancient stash? Lin Dong discovered a scorching energy seemed to permeate this land which caused one to become unusually irritated. However, this energy did not cause any trouble for Lin Dong who possessed devouring power. I wonder how Huan, Qingtan and the rest are doing. Lin Dong walked for quite a while in this aimless manner before curling his mouth as this thought flashed across his mind. Rustle. When this thought had flashed across Lin Dong's mind, some faint footstep sounds were suddenly heard from somewhere nearby. He immediately lifted his head, only to see a petite figure miserably approaching from within the sand-filled wind. Qingtan. Lin Dong was startled when he saw that familiar petite figure. Soon after, he rejoiced. Big brother Lin Dong. At this moment, the delicate little figure had also seen Lin Dong. Joy quickly surged up her pretty face. After which, she swiftly dashed towards Lin Dong. Lin Dong watched Qingtan as she dashed over. A smile had also surfaced on his face. However, this smile had only lasted for a moment before it suddenly stiffened. This was because there was a cold glint flickering within Qingtan's hand as she pounced towards his chest. Kai? That dagger which flickered with a cold light formed a tricky arc as it stabbed at Lin Dong's throat. Just as he was about to be stabbed, Lin Dong's expression darkened. A palm that contained a majestic force slammed into Qingtan's body. Bang! A deep sound rang out as Qingtan's body flew backwards. However, it crumbled when it landed, and a cluster of bright red fog rose up before attempting to tunnel into the ground to flee. However, Lin Dong was even faster. A thread of devouring power light shot out from his finger just before the fog could reach the ground. It formed a net that trapped the fog. The bright red fog attempted to escape and frantically rammed into the net. However, the fog became increasingly weak after a few collisions. Lin Dong's eyes were indifferent as he watched the weakening bright red fog. He could sense that there was no consciousness within. These things seemed to be rather mysterious. Puff! An expression of deep thought flashed across Lin Dong's eyes. After which, he pinched the cluster of bright red fog, destroying it. He once again raised his head, a grave look in his eyes as he stared at the bright red realm. The originally ordinary land appeared to possess a trace of strangeness at this moment. This place, just what exactly is this place? Lin Dong's eyes held a malicious coldness within them. The scene from earlier was far too strange. I seem to have been trapped. Lin Dong muttered to himself. A cold light immediately flashed across his eyes. He once again lifted his foot and walked forward. He was interested to find out just what this damn place wanted to do. Lin Dong continued to roam around the bright red realm. The situation that followed did not exceed his expectations. After Qingtan's appearance, Ying Huan, Ying Xiao, Wen Yang, and the rest appeared one after another. However, all of them would attack Lin Dong the moment they appeared. Although they did not manage to injure Lin Dong, it caused a nefarious flame to gradually rise in his heart. This damn place seemed to be creating these people to attack him based on his memory. Bang! Lin Dong once again blasted another imposter apart. His expression had become exceptionally gloomy. These things seemed to come at him endlessly, and he was unable to stop the cycle no matter how many times he attacked. Are there more? Lin Dong suddenly raised his head after blasting another figure apart. Yet another figure had vaguely appeared in the distorted space a short distance to his front. A moment later, it fully appeared within Lin Dong's sight. Soon after, his face involuntarily began to twitch. This was because the one who had appeared this time was Ling Qingshu. This is never going to end. Lin Dong's expression was dark. He took the initiative as he body rushed forward. A fist struck forward and a majestic force blasted towards the figure that appeared a short distance away with at lightning speed. The beautiful figure which had just appeared was clearly a little startled when it saw that it was attacked the moment it appeared. With mysterious yet graceful footwork, it dodged the fist. Eh? Lin Dong was momentarily stunned when he saw that his attack had been avoided. He quickly laughed coldly. Their intelligence seems to be increasing her. Lin Dong had already approached the figure after his voice sounded out. At this distance, he could already see Ling Qingshu's pretty face which was hidden behind a veil. He had even captured the latter's slight frown in his eyes. Bang! However, this did not stop Lin Dong from attacking. His formidable palm attack mercilessly struck at Ling Qingshu. A furious expression seemed to flash across Ling Qingshu's face upon seeing Lin Dong continue to attack. She lifted her jade-like hand. It contained mighty yuan power as it collided head-on with Lin Dong's attack. Bang! Mighty yuan power rippled outwards, and even the ground was split apart. The unprepared Lin Dong also hurriedly took over a dozen steps back. Immediately, his face filled with surprise. Why did the imposter that appeared this time around possess such strength? What are you doing? The figure opposite him had already knitted her brows while Lin Dong was stunned. There was an additional trace of fury within her cold voice. You can speak. Lin Dong was once again taken aback. Immediately, he seemed to have thought of something and his expression turned ugly. You are the real Ling Qingshu. Ling Qingshu looked at Lin Dong with a strange expression. After which, she slowly nodded. Upon seeing this, embarrassment immediately surfaced on Lin Dong's face. It was likely that he was aware of the great amount of face he had lost. Previously, I encountered quite a number of illusions that were created by this realm. They were all people whom I am acquainted with. After which, Lin Dong was a little embarrassed as he looked at the beautiful lady before him. He spread his hands outwards and explained himself. Ling Qingshu glanced at Lin Dong. After which, she gently inclined her head. She did not have any intention of making a fuss over this matter. You didn't meet any? Lin Dong was a little puzzled by her reaction. He immediately knitted his brows slightly and inquired. Those illusions earlier caused him to feel extremely irritated. Although they did not cause him any actual harm, the feeling of being attacked by people he knew was not pleasant at all. You're overthinking. Ling Qingzhu's eyes were a little strange as she stared at Lin Dong. After which, she answered calmly. What? Lin Dong was momentarily stunned. He was unable to make sense of Ling Qingzhu's words. Ling Qingzhu involuntarily lifted her eyebrows when she saw Lin Dong's somewhat lost expression. She spoke indifferently. After so many years, you seem to have lost your intelligence from before. There is clearly a formation within this burning sky ancient stash and we are all trapped within it. Although I do not know what formation it is, there are many things here that are not created by it, rather, they are created from one's heart. Illusion and reality have been mixed together. It is rather mysterious. Lin Dong slowly frowned. He was not stupid. He began to come to a realization after hearing Ling Qingzhu's words. You are saying that those illusions appeared only because I let my imagination run wild. Ling Qingzhu nodded and said, calm your heart and focus your mind. These illusions will naturally fall apart without any need to attack. The reason you met those illusions is because you did not control your thoughts. Lin Dong was speechless. He did not expect that those troublesome things actually originated from himself. Now that he thought about it, that first illusion seemed to have appeared when he was worried about Qingtan and the rest. It is quite a strange formation. I never expected that it was actually capable of such feats. Lin Dong voiced his thoughts. Although Ling Qingzhu made it sound simple, just how many people could truly calm one's heart until it became as quiet as still water? Even with Lin Dong's character, he had fallen into the trap after entering this place, much less others. After all, not everyone possessed Ling Qingzhu's icy cold character. This formation's illusions are only a form of hindrance. There is a mysterious and scorching energy permeating this realm. Once that energy invades one's body, it would affect one's mind and result in one losing control and turning crazy. Ling Qingzhu glanced at Lin Dong in a strange manner after she mentioned this point. This was because the latter seemed to be unaffected by the scorching energy. Lin Dong spread his hands. Since he had the devouring ancestral symbol to guard his body, that so-called scorching energy would be devoured once it entered his body. Hence, he did not face any troubles in this aspect. In that case, is the place we are currently at an illusion or reality? Lin Dong's feet lightly prodded the bright red ground, causing some dust to float upwards as he spoke. This is the most peculiar aspect of this formation. It causes one to be unable to distinguish between reality and illusion. Ling Qingzhu gently shook her head. She had also roamed around this place for some time. However, she had yet to find a way to escape. No matter what kind of formation it is, there must be a central hub. If we can reach it, we should be able to find a way to break this formation. Lin Dong lifted his head. His eyes narrowed as he looked to the front and said, the space here is distorted. Can you locate the central hub? Ling Qingzhu knitted her brows. She was similarly aware of this fact. However, this realm had been distorted by the formation. If they randomly roamed around, they would only end up being stuck in this formation forever. I should be able to. If you trust me, you can follow me. After all, it must be fate for us to meet here. Lin Dong smiled. After which, he lifted his foot and walked into the distance. Although the bearings of this space had been shielded by this formation, Lin Dong was still able to rely on the mysterious stone talisman within him to sense an extremely obscure ripple from a certain direction. Ling Qingzhu gazed at Lin Dong's back. She hesitated for a moment before finally following him. This place was quite strange. Hence, she naturally did not wish to give up if there was a way to escape. However, following Lin Dong in this manner felt a little unnatural for her. The two of them journeyed across the bright red land. However, they did not talk much. From a certain point of view, the relationship between the two was a little complicated. This complication clearly caused the two of them to be unable to treat the other party as an ordinary friend. This somewhat silent atmosphere lasted for nearly half an hour. Lin Dong led the way at the front. He relied on the stone talisman in his body to continuously sense the obscure ripple that was being emitted from this strange space. Ling Qingzhu quietly followed behind Lin Dong. Occasionally, her eyes would drift towards the back of the skinny figure in front of her. These 5 years had caused the latter to undergo quite a dramatic change. How is Lin Langqian currently doing? Ling Qingzhu suddenly spoke after a long silence. Lin Dong's footsteps paused. He turned his head and asked with a faint smile, "Why do you suddenly ask about him?" Ling Qingzhu did not reply. She merely stared at Lin Dong with her clear eyes. She had remembered the high, mighty and indifferent attitude that Lin Langqian had when facing Lin Dong in the ancient tomb at Great Yang Empire 5 years ago. At that time, it was likely that Lin Langqian would have never imagined that the weak young man whom he looked down on would have reached this level 5 years later. He joined the 100 Empire War together with me. However, he was killed by me atop the 100 Empire Mountain. Lin Dong said with a flat voice. I guess you can say that he was someone that you wanted to surpass in the past, right? You are truly persistent. Once you have set a target, you will definitely surpass him. Perhaps I have also become your target after our separation at the mountain top back then? I truly do not know if I should feel honored or uneasy. Ling Qingzhu spoke in a soft and slow voice. Lin Langqian seriously wounded my father back then and there was a deep enmity between us. You and him are different. Lin Dong frowned and said. Those words that I said to you back then had hurt your pride. Don't you hate me for it? Ling Qingzhu smiled faintly and said. It was the truth, without sufficient strength, emphasizing too much on one's pride will only cause others to mock you. Moreover, at that time, I must have seemed like a toad. Reference to the phrase, translates as, a toad lusting after a swan's meat, usually a reference to a guy who dreams of making a girl who is way out of his league his woman. In your eyes, Lin Dong shrugged and replied. You do not truly mean what you say. There is quite a great deal of resentment in your words. Ling Qingzhu laughed for a moment. After which, she said, I do not care whether you hate me or not. I will still repeat those words even if I was given another chance. However, I do admire you for reaching this stage within a short 5 years. The lips under Ling Qingzhu's veil were lifted when she spoke these words. This was because she was clearly aware of the starting point of this young man in front of her. This was the reason why she felt surprised at the latter's current achievements. Otherwise, in her eyes, Lin Dong's rather formidable strength would still be insufficient to command her sincere respect. Of course, even if he really reached such a stage, she would merely smile at him. A woman with her character was just like an impregnable city. Regardless of how much one coveted her and tried, they would only end up defeated. Such a woman was perhaps the most difficult creature in the world to conquer. How rare. You actually know how to admire others. Lin Dong lifted his brows slightly. He watched Ling Qingzhu's pretty face, which was covered by a veil. His mouth teased while a rare joy surged within his heart. Even someone like him was moved by the fact that he was able to make the cool Ling Qingzhu utter such words. Ling Qingzhu laughed faintly. It was likely that someone with her intelligence was naturally aware that the young man in front of her would likely possess some alpha male feelings within his heart when he heard her words. Therefore, she did not give Lin Dong the chance to continue as she faced him with indifference. Lin Dong smiled and withdrew his gaze when he saw this. After which, he narrowed both of his eyes and looked at the distorted space in front. He focused his eyes slightly and said, It seems like we are about to arrive at our destination. Oh! A shocked expression flashed across Ling Qingzhu's face when she heard these words. She lifted her eyes and looked over. She appeared to see some vague figures standing in the distant distorted space. The two increased their pace. After a couple of minutes, those black standing figures finally appeared in front of them. It was a rather large stone altar. The altar gave off an ancient feeling. It was likely that it had existed for quite a long time. This place is the central hub of the entire realm. Lin Dong stared at the huge stone altar and softly said. Ling Qingzhu's eyes also looked towards the large stone altar in front of her. Her eyes suddenly shrunk as she said, There's someone there. Her eyes immediately looked towards the other side of the huge stone altar after her voice sounded. Some faint sounds of footsteps were transmitted over from that spot. Soon after, 3 figures slowly appeared. Finally, they appeared in both her and Lin Dong's sight. It seems like enemies frequently cross paths. Lin Dong's eyes gradually turned gloomy when he saw the 3 familiar figures. That was because those 3 figures were the 3 little kings of Yuan Gate. The Yuan Kang trio had clearly seen Lin Dong when the latter discovered them. Immediately, a stunned expression flashed across their faces. Soon after, a sinisterly cold expression and mockery slowly surfaced. In their eyes, Lin Dong had undoubtedly delivered himself to their doorstep. The Yuan Kang trio slowly appeared from the other side of the altar. In the end, they stopped some distance away from Lin Dong. Yuan Kang's face was indifferent. Only when he saw Ling Qingzhu beside Lin Dong did a faint disturbance appear in his eyes. However, soon after, his eyes turned increasingly dark and solemn as he stared at Lin Dong. Lin Dong, it seems like even the heavens do not wish to give you an easy time. How long has it been? To think that you have actually sent yourself directly to our doorstep. Little Thunder King Lei Qian's gaze was filled with bitter resentment as he stared at Lin Dong. His expression was still a little pale, however, it was much better than before. Clearly, he had brought along some extremely effective healing medicine. Little Spirit King Ling Zhen's gaze was also a little ominous as he stared at Lin Dong. The foldable fan in his hand shook gently. Overall, he looked as though he had come with ill intent. Lin Dong stared at the Yuan Kang trio as his expression turned a little ugly. Clearly, he had not expected to actually encounter them here. This was definitely not an ideal situation for him. If the Yuan Kang trio were to join forces, it would definitely be very difficult. Your ability to locate this place has truly taken me by surprise. Yuan Kang looked at Lin Dong. He did not attack immediately. Instead, he merely spoke in an indifferent voice. They were able to reach this place quickly because they held quite a lot of information related to the Burning Sky ancient stash. However, Yuan Kang did not expect that Lin Dong would actually reach this place soon after they arrived. This is where the central hub that controls this formation is located, right? Lin Dong shrugged. His gaze turned towards that large stone altar as he spoke. Lin Dong's eyes narrowed slightly as he sized up the large stone altar. His finger involuntarily drew past his palm. He could sense that the stone talisman within his body was emitting a strange fluctuation at this moment. This altar. Lin Dong lifted his head and his gaze turned towards the sky above the altar. The space there appeared to be bright red in color. His eyes flickered as though he sensed something. Qingzhu, how are you? While Lin Dong was observing the area, Yuan Kang's eyes turned towards Ling Qingzhu as a gentle smile surfaced on his face. Though he was not very handsome, his face had a unique taste to it. When he smiled, it gave one a refreshing feeling. Ling Qingzhu inclined her head. She glanced at Lin Dong beside her and said, "Does senior brother Yuan Kang know where we are now?" This is the Burning Sky Array of the Burning Sky Ancient Stash. It is the guardian of the Ancient Stash. Everyone who enters the Ancient Stash will fall into this Burning Sky Array. Ha ha. However, this Burning Sky Array has yet to be activated. Otherwise, even we would not be able to reach this place. Yuan Kang spoke smilingly. Burning Sky Array. Lin Dong's eyes focused slightly. This formation was already so powerful before it had been activated? What if it was activated? Just how powerful would it be then? Currently, everyone who entered the Burning Sky Ancient Stash has been trapped in this Burning Sky Array. Don't worry, Qingzhu. After I take control of the formation, I will ensure that the disciples from Nine Heaven's Supreme Purity Palace will not face any harm. Yuan Kang laughed. Of course, some creatures that do not know how to appreciate kindness will likely be burnt into ashes in this Burning Sky Array. Lei Qian laughed sinisterly. Lin Dong's expression immediately turned dark and cold when he heard these words. His eyes were maliciously dark as he stared at Yuan Kang trio and said, "If anything happens to my Dao sect disciples, I'm afraid that your Yuan Gate disciples can forget about walking out of this unique devil region alive." Such arrogant words. Even Ju Tong back then wasn't as arrogant as you. Just who do you think you are? Ling Zhen's eyes turned cold as he laughed chillingly. It is unexpected that you still have the courage to utter such haughty words at this moment. Don't tell me that you think that the current you actually possesses the qualifications to behave in such an arrogant fashion. A cold smile also surfaced on Yuan Kang's face as he stared at Lin Dong and mocked. Boss, let's finish off this brat here to prevent any further troubles. Lei Qian laughed sinisterly. His eyes were filled with bitterness and resentment. A chill flickered within Yuan Kang's eyes. Immediately, he nodded slightly. Now that Lin Dong had coincidentally landed in their laps, it was the best opportunity for them to finish him off. Killing intent surged within Lei Qian and Ling Zhen's eyes when they saw Yuan Kang nod. Their bodies immediately moved and formed a semicircle formation, surrounding Lin Dong in the process. From the looks of it, they intended to join hands and swiftly finish off Lin Dong. Lin Dong's expression sunk slightly as he watched this scene, while the Yuan power within his body began to circulate. With his current strength, a battle against Lei Qian alone was already difficult. Now that the three little kings of Yuan Gate were going to join forces, regardless of how much confidence he had, he knew that this was not going to be easy. The Yuan Kang trio floated up in the air. An unusually majestic Yuan power fluctuation slowly swept out as a heavy pressure covered Lin Dong. Lin Dong waved his hand and a demon corpse appeared in front of him. Now that it came to this, it was likely that he had to use his various trump cards. Just as Lin Dong took out his demon corpse and prepared to engage in a massive fight with the three little kings, a fragrant breeze blew from behind him. He was stunned to see Ling Qingzhu suddenly move to stand in front of him. Qingzhu? What does this mean? Yuan Kang demanded in a deep voice. His eyes changed when he saw Ling Qingzhu standing in front of Lin Dong. Senior brother Yuan Kang, the reason I was able to come to this place is because Lin Dong was leading the way, hence, I owe him a favor. Therefore, if you wish to attack him now, I am afraid that I will not idly stand by. Ling Qingzhu's veil trembled slightly. Her cool voice appeared to have suppressed even the heat of this place. When that alluring voice was transmitted into Lin Dong's ears, even he was stunned. Clearly, he did not expect that Ling Qingzhu would actually voluntarily step forward. Moreover, her reason for helping him clearly did not possess much conviction. This was because Lin Dong still owed her from 5 years ago. Yuan Kang's expression gradually turned unusually dark and solemn. There appeared to be a thunderbolt of fury surging deep within his eyes. Ling Qingzhu had actually stepped forward to protect Lin Dong. This clearly was a blow to his usually indifferent self. Ling Zhen and Lei Qian also glanced at Yuan Kang at this moment. They were clearly aware that the latter fancied Ling Qingzhu. Although there was no progress between the two of them during these 2 years, Yuan Kang undoubtedly saw Ling Qingzhu as his woman. Yet, Ling Qingzhu had stepped forward to protect Lin Dong. The two of them exchanged glances before they chuckled coldly. They knew that it might still be alright if Ling Qingzhu did not step forward. Now that she did, it was likely that Yuan Kang would definitely kill Lin Dong. Lin Dong, are you going to hide behind a woman? Yuan Kang stared at Lin Dong in a dark and solemn manner as he slowly said. Lin Dong's eyes were a little dark. He sighed softly a moment later before he slowly walked past Ling Qingzhu. Ling Qingzhu knitted her brows slightly as she watched Lin Dong walk past her. She spoke in a faint voice, after these 5 years of training, you should understand the importance of survival even more than I do. Trying to act tough for a moment may salvage your pride, but from the way I see it, it is extremely short-sighted. It is likely that I will have to withdraw the compliment I gave you previously. Lin Dong's footsteps paused. He silently contemplated for a moment before turning around. As he looked at the veiled face which could cause the downfall of a country, he smilingly replied, "Didn't you ask me how I was able to reach such a place in merely 5 years? The answer is very simple. It was because I told myself back then I will only allow a woman to save me once in my life. Additionally, I do not like to act tough. I know how powerful the three of them are. However, you should also know that the current me is also no longer that weak fellow from 5 years ago. If they want to kill me, the price to pay will be so expensive that they will not be able to afford it. Ling Qingzhu gazed at the young man as a grin appeared on his face. Her pearly white teeth gently bit her lips. The young man from back then was petty and weak. When faced a Ling Langqian he could not contend against, he chose to swallow his pride and endure humiliation. Ultimately, however, he let reality tell those people that the one who had the final laugh was the one who was the most successful. The reason why she showed compassion to Lin Dong and gave up on killing this young man, who had disgraced her, was not because she had discovered a stunning potential within him. Neither was it because of pity. The biggest reason was because of the tolerance that this young man displayed when he was unable to contend against Lin Langqian. She could see Lin Dong's current success. However, from his words, she could also sense the various bitterness concealed within those years of training. Ling Qingzhu's clear eyes drooped slightly as she withdrew the complicated emotions within her eyes. Finally, she shook her head and did not say anything. A price we cannot afford? Are you certain you are not crazy? Yuan Kang looked down at Lin Dong from high above and sneered. However, Lin Dong merely smiled faintly and nodded in the face of his sneer. His hands were clenched under his sleeve. 2 grey stone beads had quietly appeared between his slender fingers as an obscure fluctuation that could not be described quietly surged. I am certain. Do you want to give it a try? Lin Dong lifted his head, a brilliant smile on his face as he stared at the Yuan Kang trio. Craziness faintly surged within his smile. This video will end here.